First question, October 2015, Austin City Limits Festival.
Yeah.
You smashed your bass at the final show of the tour. What mindset were you in back then?
I think, we were both very aware that this was the last show for quite some time, and having been through what we went through, it was quite a unique show in that we're probably reflecting, I guess, quite a lot on what happened. I know it was a strange feeling, and it was like 50% of like smashing the bass up was probably just because I knew that I didn't need it the next day. Yeah. But then I guess there's another part of it, knowing that like it felt good when it happened, because it was like closing the chapter, it was like ending the era. I think, we'd toured that record for 3 years, and it took us to places we'd never thought we'd go. Yeah. It was a good feeling.
Good feeling, and for you, you said you closed a chapter, 3-year chapter. Now, in hindsight, with this album, what is the general feeling of those 3 years when you look back on it now?
It's just crazy. I mean, at the time I probably thought I knew what was going on more than I really did.
Explaining?
Just so much was happening, so much information and so much insane life experiences were happening consecutively day after day, that I think I was probably quite numb to what was going on. You almost just go into survival mode, because every show was getting bigger, and every responsibility was getting bigger. And it felt like every day we were doing something for the first time. It definitely takes time away to take that in and appreciate it fully. And now that we're back actually and playing shows, I feel far more awake and far more in the moment than perhaps I was on the first run.
You said it took you time away to actually to appreciate it more. October 2015. When did it all sink in and you really appreciated what happened, and you actually knew what had happened to you those 3 years? So after you came back?
I think once you come home. I mean, it's almost like you're a year behind the whole time. So I think, but it's not until you come home, I think, and have time to reflect. But I mean, I'm making it sound like it was a traumatic experience. It was, it was incredible, and it was amazing, and it was just full on, I guess. It was just extreme. I guess we really didn't set out to kind of be a band that's commercially successful and in the limelight, and that's just something that happened to us. But now that it's real and it's happening, I think, it took a couple of years just to work out how that works, really.
Last question about those 3 years, those first 3 years. What one small thing, maybe a big thing, maybe a meeting, maybe a show, what was for you, what summed it up for you?
Probably some less obvious things for me that had a profound effect on me, like in terms of seeing how far we'd come or how amazing it really was. It's probably like just playing shows in the middle of what felt like in the middle of nowhere in America, when places like Little Rock or even like El Paso, where I feel like I'm so far away from home and everything feels quite alien, and then you play a show and it's full of people and they know all the words to the songs, and they weren't even massive shows, they were sometimes 300 to 500 people. But that, for me, was far more profound than playing like the Brit Awards, for example, or playing like big festival slots when there's loads of people there. Yeah, it just felt like it felt like a way of measuring it.
Yeah.
More profoundly, I guess.
Did you write songs during those years?
Yeah, not. We were nowhere near as prolific as we were. We were not touring as heavily, because one thing I guess we didn't realise about being a band on the road is that your day is just full of travelling and press, and then you have half an hour to get ready for the show. Yeah. By the time you finish that, you might not feel completely inspired to write a song by that point.
Yeah.
So we just found it incredibly compromising on being creative. But over the last 6 months of 2015, we ended up writing Hook, Line and Sinker and Where Are You Now, which are both actually on the record. Yeah. We didn't anticipate them to be, but they ended up being quite relevant.
You said Hook, Line and Sinker. Do you still recall where you were when you started the song?
Yeah, we were actually in LA. We found this really small, sweaty little jam room, I guess, in Hollywood Hills. And it was just, I don't know, for us it was funny, for two guys from like the south coast of England to be like writing rock and roll tunes in Hollywood Hills. It was just, I don't know, it was just funny. And not that I wouldn't say the most creative place for us to be, just because it's like such a distracting, weird place. But yeah, we were just in this little room for a week and we wrote a bunch of tunes, and that was a product of that session.
Did you write the lyrics also back then, or is it something that is?
I actually think I wrote a lot of the lyrics before. I think I had like a bunch of lyrics that didn't really have a song or a home yet, and then there were probably some written there, and there were probably some written after. So, yeah.
Is it for you? Can you say that this song started the album, or were it maybe other songs that started the album, and in hindsight you said, well, this song also belongs to it?
Even though it's probably the first one written for the album, it didn't feel like the beginning of the album.
What felt?
I think Lights Out, because we'd written loads of tunes, but we were still working out the direction and the kind of the aesthetic and the kind of what was this whole album going to be about, and what was it didn't really have a centerpiece yet. And when Lights Out came, it was a bit of a eureka moment, I think, because it felt like it felt like the DNA of an album. It felt like even just like having the way we used the BVs. We'd been experimenting with that a lot. Mm-hmm. We didn't feel like we'd nailed it, and just some of the things we did in like the bridge, where it kind of went a bit more electronic sounding. I don't know. It just felt like we had a lot of key ingredients for the album, and suddenly a lot of other songs became. It became obvious what was going to be on the record and what wasn't by that point. Because things started making sense, I guess, a lot more once that song came about.
And how many songs were written prior to Lights Out that actually made the album?
That's a good question. Probably, I can't remember if I'm honest, but there was a lot of ideas. Probably not a lot of. Mostly like just small ideas rather than complete songs, but there's probably like 10 or so.
So once you wrote Lights Out,
yeah,
you actually knew how to finish those other songs, maybe?
It just became obvious, I guess, and it became clear what songs should be left behind and what songs should be pursued, and also what songs should be written next, you know.
The opening track, how did we get so dark, is also the album title. Does this mean that this song is more important for you, or is it just a nice album title, or does it sum up the lyrics, the feel?
I don't think it's more important. I think what you're saying really,
Yeah.
I think that it felt like the appropriate album title. I think a few things we liked about it is that it has like, I guess a lot of ways of being interpreted as well. And we also just thought it'd be funny because we knew that in interviews people would ask us how we got so dark. It was just, I don't know, there was a bit of an in-joke going on there as well.
But when I talk to you...
Thank you for not asking that.
No, the thing is...
It doesn't make any sense.
No, but...
They go, so, Mike and Ben, how did you get so dark?
No,
like,
but...
that's not a question. It's an album title.
Well, you don't seem that dark. Is it something that maybe in hindsight you thought, well, maybe it wasn't a good idea to pick this album title, or...
I don't know, perhaps we just like building rods for our own backs, but it's like we had a song called One Trick Pony.
Yeah.
And like, I just thought that was funny because I thought, we have like this unique sound going on, and the first criticism would be that this is a one trick pony, and then like I thought that song ended up coming about, and I thought,
but how do you...
why did I call a song that?
Yeah. Is it for you the way you write your songs, bass, drum? Well, you added some extra now on this album. How long do you still think you can work this way? Is it your whole career, like you were saying?
You mean like the
bass and the
oh, I see, yeah.
Well, the sound you have.
I mean, to be honest with you, I didn't think we'd even get one album out of our setup because it's so simple, and it's so minimal in ways. But I guess one thing I've realised is there's always a point where you exhaust the components of any band you're in, and I think that's a good place to get to, because then suddenly it just becomes about being creative. And I hate the idea that we would be a band that relies on our aesthetic, because I would want it to be about good songwriting and good riffs and good melodies and good lyrics, and that feeling and sounding really good. I think it's not. That's the kind of point I guess I'm trying to make, is that making this album, like just for me personally, I proved to myself that it's not a gimmick, and that it's about the chemistry between me and Ben playing music together. And I think at some point, who knows, like it may be more creative to change it up and have an entire orchestra. I don't know, but do you know what I mean? I think, but also I think, on this album we just wanted the music to really lead the way, and I think we felt like it sounded cooler and more real when there wasn't someone else jamming over it. So when that day comes, when it does sound cooler, then we'll allow that to happen, because it's about good music. It's not about our kind of egos.
But you can tell with the way with the way your songs turn out that you actually, apart from the instrumentation, the songs are catchy. The songs, I think they even stand just with one guitar. So I think that's the thing that it's for you about, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think I know it's an obvious reference, but the White Stripes and like Seven Nation Army for me is like, that riff fascinates me.
Yeah.
It's when you think about how simple it is, you could teach that to someone who's never picked up guitar. That could be the first thing you teach them. It's so simple, yet everyone wished they wrote it. Every guitarist wished they wrote it. And to say it's like catchy is like an understatement of the fucking century, because it's so well recognized. It's chanted at stadiums, and it's like the riff is bigger than the band. It's like it's fucking international, and I'm far more interested in finding ideas like that just outdumb everybody, and you go, fuck, I wish I'd thought of that. Like it was there waiting to be discovered.